The idea to investigate this field came to my father. He thought that then the influence of electrostatic field could also have an influence on all polarity structures that are in the world. And out of that he saw that untreated species of the same microbe to treated species give a completely different MS spectrum. Yeah. There is an influence occurring which has an influence on microbes. Why should an organism modify his physiological reactions in its body due to an electrostatic field outside? That was huge to see that happens. There are a lot of information that is no more expressed, but it's still there. It's silent genes. So these silent genes can be reactivated a little bit by this static electric field.
Yes, we are submitted to an invisible field that is full of electrostatic field, of electromagnetic waves, and this affects our reality and our body. In a previous episode, we had the chance to have Charles-Maxence Laillet. We discovered and explored the secret field, energy field of the universe. We went from the heritage of Chinese medicine to the research carried out in the 90s showing how to treat illness with electrostatic field, electric field. And then we had the chance to have the French physicist Alain Boudet, who shared with us how our DNA can be affected by electromagnetic waves. So you will tell me how this affects or is linked to our human potential. And for me, the answer is quite easy, because if you understand how nature works, how we work, then you have unbelievable keys to exploring your potential. Knowing that our DNA can be affected by electromagnetic waves means that it will affect our emotion, our reaction. So that's the idea behind. Today, I'm so honored to have as a guest Danielle Ebener and Jay Ebener. We are going to talk about food today. So what's the link with human potential? Food will affect our body, and let's find out how the research of Danielle and Ajay would be applied to our human potential and health. Danielle and Ajay, they developed an amazing technology for growing vegetables, plants, egg fish at breathtaking ratio without pesticide, without genetic modification, and can also grow extinct species. Welcome, Danielle. Welcome, Jay. I'm so happy to have you. I'm so happy to have you today. Could you shortly introduce yourself, your background? Please, Danielle.
Okay. So, hello, everybody. First, thank you for the invitation. My education, I start with that, was actually a lab assistant in the first stage. And then I studied biology after the apprenticeship, and went into biology and biologist as a toxicologist in a pharmaceutical industry. And I worked like that. And during that episode, also my father worked in the same company, and he was there responsible for industrial exchange to universities. And in that context, also our developments, which we'll discuss afterwards.
And Ajay, you are the co-founder of FIOS company in France.
Yeah, and so now actually I'm a student. And so when I heard the story of my family, I want to participate in this innovation. And so my family, it's a scientific family. And so I decided to change that and to have another skills on the family. And so I decided to make a commercial student and to help to grow the company.
Okay, the business part of
the
company.
Exactly.
Great. Could you share with us how everything started?
It goes about the influence of electrostatic fields, which we can discuss afterwards, on biological systems. The idea to investigate this field came to my father. My father started with the idea to investigate these after having exchanges with universities on basic science and basic scientific new approaches. And he thought that then the influence of electrostatic field, not of an electrodynamic, but of an electrostatic field, could also have an influence on all polarity structures that are in the world. And as we, as living species, have a lot of ionized membranes and ion exchanges and therefore electric loaded elements, we have polarities in us. And so the influence, and to think about that can be influenced by a polarity from outside was actually a straightforward idea.
Yeah. Are we gonna explore the technology later, and you really realize how huge it is. Yeah. Thank you for that. Could you tell us more about your research, about the technology?
Also the technology itself, so it's maybe good to explain what is an electrostatic field, which we investigated. We have, let's say on Earth, we have an electrostatic field that is surrounding us between the ionosphere and the surface of the Earth. The surface of the Earth has a lot of material, therefore a lot of electrons. Therefore, this is the negative pole against the positive pole, which is in the ionosphere, which has also some electrons, but they cannot be exchanged due to the isolation by air, so by our atmosphere. So it will be exchanged a little bit if we have thunderstorms, etc., and blizzards, and then we have an exchange of electricity that comes down as was heißt Blitz. So I do not know the word actually of the.
Yeah, it's
lightning. Lightning. Yeah, of lightning. Okay, yeah, it's lightning. So that then electrons will be exchanged between the surface of the Earth and the ionosphere when we have lightning. And okay, so we have an electrostatic field between the ionosphere and the Earth surface of 130 volt per meter.
Wow.
So we have that's the average that we have. It's different from place to place, but that's the average tension. Okay, so everything that grows in between is exposed to that static electric field.
So we are all exposed to that.
So we are all exposed to that. That means when that geologically thinking has changed over the time, it must have an influence on our evolution of the organisms, how they developed within that environment. And when we think about pre-industrialization, etc., we have potentially, I would suppose that potentially less material in the atmosphere. And if we have less material in the atmosphere, we have less electrons in the atmosphere. So the electrostatic field between the surface and the ionosphere would be higher
than today.
When we put in material, then we put in electrons into the atmosphere, so the difference between the ionosphere and the surface diminishes, goes down. And so the electrostatic field will be smaller.
What you just shared with us could explain why there is so many species that disappear today? One way of thinking, or one way of...
I mean, all elements of the environment have a selectable or selective influence on species, so that things will disappear or will grow in a different form and develop themselves in a way and survive, is always to find the right solution for the organism within a specific environment. And so if that changes and it finds an answer, this genetic information will be given further and will survive. And the organism with a specific genetic code will survive because it has survived these conditions. And others will disappear. I do not see that just one element itself makes it happening. But the influence on the modification of a genetic code, if we think that maybe we had here a tension of thousands of volts per meter instead of 130, for example, then a genetic, as an organism, needs to survive these conditions and would have been generated a genetic answer to survive that. All other species are disappeared, but they have been survived. And then in the genetic code, you have then the information of how to come through such a condition of, let's say, thousands of volts. As an example, there are species that have other influences, other elements that decreased. Maybe the water was less, and so they tried to expand the way how to collect water if they needed water to survive, etc. And so they made more roots, deeper roots, other forms of roots, etc. So plants would have been adopted to such things, or other organisms as well. So the influence of an electrostatic field was then actually on our side what we want to investigate on biological systems. That means on organisms. And it started then with what is the easiest way to investigate on microbes. So that we have defined microbes that we exposed in its development to an electrostatic field.
Different electrostatic fields.
Different electrostatic fields, different but not melanged, not mixed populations, but clear isolated populations of a specific microbe, like Pseudomonas or E. coli or something like that, to expose that in its population to electrostatic field. And in the first stage, my father investigated then what compounds are given out by these microbes during their growing. So the volatile chemical compounds he analyzed in making HCMS, so gas chromatography and mass spectroscopy. And out of that, he saw that untreated species of the same microbe to treated species give a complete different MS, that's a great say MS spectrum.
Okay.
And so he saw here happens something. Yeah. There is an influence occurring, which has an influence on microbes.
The treated one is the one that were submitted to the electrostatic field, right?
Yes, correct.
Out about this analysis of the different compounds, what came out of this?
Well, actually, primarily that there is a difference. So why should an organism modify his physiological reactions in its body due to an electrostatic field outside? That was huge to see that happens. And it brought him then clearly, immediately to the thinking, how is it with larger organisms, with organisms built from different cells, compositions, etc. And then he tried out with fern. With fern, Simon exposed that to static electric field, grow them up, and found completely different plants.
Yeah. And so then, which difference he observed?
Well, we had a normal fern with leaves that are I don't know the word again. Gefiedert. Gefiedert. I can show you that maybe in the book. It's feathered, so it looks like that. It looks like that, and if it's exposed, it looks like that. So it's no more feathered.
We are just doing this. So the difference of one that is exposed and not exposed.
Yes, this is the mother plant, and this is the daughter plant. Wow. Out of a semen.
So it's so different.
It's completely different.
So it's just an extract that will give a background. It's just an extract of their Kurzeit code. It's a book written in German who explain all about this electrostatic field and the influence on plants and so on. You can find it in French, and we hope that an English translation will be soon available.
Yeah.
But for the one who read German and French, you can find it.
Surely, if they try to find the ebook in French, they go to the website fios.fr and they can find it.
Okay, on the website.
Yeah.
I will give the link in the description below the video. Okay, thank you.
So yes, I just wanted to say, well, also with organisms that are differentiated, have different cellules, it has also an influence. That was then the second experiment that he did, and showed that also on the Swiss TV once.
Okay, thank you so much, Danielle and Ajay. For me, it's really a huge opportunity to have to share with you, and that you shared with us this result, this research, because we saw previously in previous episode that our DNA can be affected by electromagnetic field, that electrostatic field is influencing our body, which will influence our reality. And today there is this huge change of paradigm. Like, yes, we are submitted to an invisible field that is full of electrostatic field, of electromagnetic waves, and this affects our reality and our body. And this research and this result is clearly showing this. And I'm so happy that we can share this knowledge and have it like concretely under our eyes. And my next question would be, let's share with us like the amazing result or outcome you faced or observed. Like we just saw one with the plants, but you also worked with eggfish, right?
Correct. So eggfish or eggs from fish, from rainfowed trouts, and we exposed eggs to the electrostatic field during the germination phase of it until the day 21, which is a high point stage that they reach before the young fish will come out of the egg. So just before that time, when it come actually, when the fish will come to out of the egg. And you can bring that then afterwards into the normal fish boxes, the normal fish areas where you grow then the fish, and the fish itself will take on more nutritives, so he will grow faster. He will have secondary sexual signs more clearly expressed and defined. And so by rainbow trouts you find a stronger red color on the sideline. And you have also a hook from the salmon. It's a salmonide. It belongs to the family of the salmonids, which normal salmon has a hook, the males, and also these fishes produce that. The males, then these hook again, and also sibling. This is another form of the salmonide is also producing such a hook when growing under electrostatic field. So when the eggs are exposed to an electrostatic field. Interesting there is, in the end, that the electrostatic field itself increases also the amount of fishes that come to life, so that come out of the eggs. And we have an increase from 55% up to 95%.
Wow.
So there was an increase of extraordinary increasing. So that survived much more fishes out of...
it's like stimulating.
Stimulating, yes.
Yes.
It's stimulating.
This generation or this strong part of the DNA.
Yeah. And the influence, as we think, is that normally we have in the DNA all the history that an organism has gone through, actually, and put into an answer in his organism, in his genetic code, which is the book that describes how this organism is structured and built. And all what has been passed is written down there. And some of this information will be lost during time. So the eliminations that normally happens, but a lot of information is there.
Which is a good, which is a good which is a really good solution to forget all the traumatic event from our ancestor and from our life that is in our book, and just expose to the electrostatic field of Danielle.
Yeah, but we can maybe come back to that and bring it up again. But yes, our thing is that there are a lot of information that is no more expressed because it's no more used in the environment that is surrounding us today. But it's still there. It's silent genes. So these silent genes can be reactivated a little bit by this static electric field. So that's our impression. So to explain that a little bit, we have 23 chromosome pairs as men, as humans. And these 23 chromosome pairs are like a book with 23 chapters. In all these 23 chapters, we have 2 parts. Yeah? We have part 1, part 2. And now we read just sentence 1 of part 1 and part 2, go to the next chapter, reads there again, sentence 1 and sentence 2, go further. And then we have a story. This is how we are expressed by sentence 1.
Yeah.
All our 23 chromosomes. If you would take from chapter 20, for example, the sentence 5, in each chapter, it will be different to what we have today when we read just the sentence 1. Now, sentence 5 could be that was under a condition where we had an electrostatic field of 1000 volts per meter, and normally it's 130, so we read normally just the sentence 1, where something is the reaction on 130 volts per meter, and now we do it actually and come back because it's 1000 volts immediately now. So we go to sentence 5 again in chromosome 20, for example. And so we have a modification, but we are still the same organism with the same genetic information. We don't modify the genetic information. We just bring an answer that has been previously already stored as information in our DNA up again. Because we have a condition where we can react. We know how to react. This remembering of our genetics. Yeah,
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So
beautiful.
how to...
And I think of it's what is the very big difference between OGM and your technology. Because OGM, it's a chemical transformation, or the green box, it's more a natural changement of the plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just read another sentence of paragraph 102.
Yeah.
You illustrate another story, all out of the same book.
It's like exploring the full potential of the species, the plant or human body or whatever. And it's just amazing to see all the story and all the resources that we can have inside that we can express. And also, I'm so honored and I'm so happy. I feel really blessed to have this discussion with you both, because it's also showing that like we are facing climate change, the heat of on Earth the temperature on Earth is increasing, but we have solution today to grow our agriculture, to grow our foods, and be still comfortable of having like amazing solution for tomorrow. And this is how, for me, human can transcend every crisis. Even if we are not facing the full crisis, but we can sense it. Yeah. So thank you for that. I would love you to present the box. So I will give it to Danielle. Present the box. And my first question is how it works. Is it built for every people or only for companies or for personal use? Is it easy to use? How, for example, I want to grow my own vegetables without pesticide, without chemical, how I can like...
I've really used that. Just do that. So Well, yes, you can use it for your private seeds, whatever you want to grow is for seeds. So you need to germinate in that box seeds.
Yes.
If that's cucumber, salads, basil, whatever you like, you can grow into it if it has the place. It's just a dimension of 4 centimeters between the 2 plates. This is one plate, this is the second plate. These 4 centimeters, when the semen itself, the seed itself is larger than 4 centimeters, it has no place. So for coconut, it's not usable.
But do you try to build a bigger box?
You can make it bigger, but then you need also a higher amount of field strength, and that's why we wanted to have a steering unit that can be easily modified in the field strength. We just used this with the 4 centimeters. I can explain that. Inside of this box is a transformer of unidirectional electricity, also of DC, which generates 6,000 volts.
Okay.
This 6,000 volts divided by 4 centimeters gives us a strength, a field strength of 1,500 volts per centimeter. Okay?
Yes.
If we have an income of our 220 or 110 volts out of the connection, yeah, that we normally know, and we have now on the net adapter the possibility to modify the input.
Okay.
And if we halven the input from 12 volts to 6 volts here, then also the field strength will halven. That means that it's not 1,500 volts per centimeter, but 750 per centimeters. Now 750 per centimeters is the strength that we use for so-called C3 plants. These are almost all plants. That's a physiological separation of the photosynthesis that has a difference between C3, calm, C4 plants. There are differences in the photosynthesis they use, the photosynthesis path. C4 plants, for example, maize, corn, is belonging to C4. They use a higher strength, and they have 1,250 volts per centimeter, which is another possible indication that we prove that.
What would be your advice? Which
So my advice use 750 volts per centimeter in the first stage to grow your seeds and plant it and see what comes out of it. If you buy several of the boxes, you can also make different stresses, clearly. But you can also do it in the same box, one after the other. So to grow and to germinate just seeds with 750, plant it. Grow seeds with 1,250, plant it.
and it's very different?
And then you see the difference.
But your advice would be
to
start risky.
Okay, then also in the manner when you give me the green box, you have advice about the voltage to use, you know.
Okay.
So you
Depends on the
the plant.
Depends on the plant.
Yeah.
Seed based in the green, seed based in the green box.
Yeah.
So I think it's delivered with the box.
Yeah, actually, exactly.
Thank you.
Interesting. There is it's also indicated in that normally you can put in just tissue which is wet and put up the seeds, and then it germinates. It needs to germinate here. You cannot put it dry seeds in it and just guide the electric field. It must start the living process.
And the living process needs water.
And the living process needs water. That means it's needed to be wet. Yeah.
Okay, great. And for example, if I want to buy one box, how do I need to proceed?
Well, you can go to the website with FIOS.fr if you come to France. And also you can go to the website of a Swiss website.
Yeah, that's FIOS-greenbox.net. It's more complicated.
I will share both links
Yeah, but if you want just to find it, you can find it on the internet in FIOS.fr, and you can contact us if you are a professional also, and we can talk about more pre precise precise about your project, because we also following some professional and some farmer to their project. So you are if you are professional, and also if you are individual and you like make your own garden, but you can use this one. It's perfect for you. But if you have some questions, we are free to answer it. Yeah.
I will give all the information in the description of the video below. It's not an online shop because I know your website. So I think we just have to write like an email saying, I want the box. And
But now it was what week? You can know.
wow, great.
Yes, you can.
So
You know.
you told me that it's around 400 francs.
So in Switzerland, it cost 480 Swiss francs.
480 Swiss francs. So with the dollar today, it's almost the same. And without the taxes, so the VAT. Okay, great. And I have one last question for you. That is, it's something that I'm really thrilled to hear more about. Is looking back at your research, and if tomorrow I would ask you like a concrete application adapted, if tomorrow you have to develop an application based on your research applied to human health or human potential, what would be your idea?
But actually, there are two ideas. In the beginning,
Go ahead.
one is to get the possibility to apply this technology to larger fields in agriculture.
Yeah.
So to grow hectares and not only, let's say, a garden size amount of seed. And for that, we need to have another adoption of the electrostatic field. Maybe one word also to that idea. We found actually with wheat as a result that out of one seed, 36 to 48 heirs were generated. So we had an enormous increase of the harvest that we could get.
Amazing.
With mice, we had mice that came out of one seed with up to 13 knots, so which gave an amazing amount of yield again. So this is the tremendous thing, and there could be a possibility to also not eliminate so much soil, so much terrain. To use land for the agriculture, and to restart and rebuild that soil by adding nutrients and all that stuff. Because out of with this technology, even a plant itself can grow in a soil that is less nutritive. So like the fish that grew also with less or with the same nutrition that an untreated received and grew faster and larger. So they can use what is there more efficiently.
Yeah.
So
yes, that is a part
it's quite
regarding the food.
Yeah,
and
that's food.
To go out of this chemical and genetic modification food that obviously has an impact on our health and our human potential. But if we use typically the box for us the electrostatic field to treat the illness, which idea do you have?
But the other thing is to desalinate water. That's the
Yes, but you told me about the scarves, the hallucination.
Yes, I mean, in medicine, we found that a wound would heal faster if it exposed to a static electric field, and that could be of influence in healing wounds, really, which is in my view, most important to do that by patients which have diabetes. Diabetes patients have a long time until a wound heals, and they need to be cured very, very, very sophisticated. And for that, it could be a possibility to use also a treatment with electrostatic field on the wound surface, because it heals faster.
Is this some research that you can follow about using electrostatic field applied to health or to treat illness?
Well, for the treatment of wounds, there was an investigation made still from my father, where they were interested in looking what is the influence that it grows faster, and they found a higher concentration on the TGF-beta compound, which is the tissue growth factor beta, which was that in that time the knowledge that this is an influence that epidermal cells generate and put into this growth. So this is higher, it is more expressed by these cells, and so the healing process is increased.
So much goes on.
Yeah.
And then one last application, you were mentioning the desalinization of water?
Yes, there was a trying we did. It's actually like a ion exchange on what we thought about, and that was that we took some seawater out of the Middle Sea, so the south of France, and took this sand which was there on the beach, put this sand into a column. It was about 80 centimeters high, and put an electrostatic field around, a high electrostatic field. I would say it's about 6,000 volts per centimeter. But we put that in. Let's the water, the seawater through it, and what came out had was drinkable. Actually, it had no more the desalination of before, and so clearly the salt itself was then in the sand. So we have to exchange after after 3 liters. We had to exchange then the sand, because then the salt was there and it would have been washed out again with the next water when we put it up. But at least 3 liters of desalinated water, so drinkable water, not completely desalinated. It had still some Siemens. So that's the conductive measure that we took. That's the ion concentration, which is measured in the form of conductivity. And so there is still the one that is actually like the one that we have in normal water on
Amazing.
our
That's
water area.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's just the beginning of a beautiful story in terms of your company. And I'm really, really honored that we had the chance to share all of this and to share it with everyone that is checking and looking at the Revealing Talk Show and the different episodes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ajay.
Si tu as aimé cette vidéo et que tu aimes cette chaîne Entre Science et Conscience, je t'invite à soutenir mon travail pour seulement 1 € symbolique par mois. Élevons-nous ensemble, faisons grandir cette belle communauté consciente et bienveillante. Je vous en suis infiniment reconnaissante.